Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, Your Excellency, Commissioner Sako, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start off with an African proverb, which goes thus, that a large chair does not make a king. In the context of this discussion today, this insightful African proverb tells us one thing, that the Paris Agreement, which is now ratified by over 44 African countries, constituting almost 80% of this ratification, means that we need to move from talk to action. And let's put it in perspective. The African reality check is crystal clear. When it comes to food and nutritional security, 240 million Africans go to bed hungry. When it comes to malnutrition, mothers are bearing their kids before they reach the age of 5, and this constitutes almost about 50% of the entire continent. And when it comes to youth unemployment, almost about 60% of the youth in the continent are unemployed. And each and every year, 12 million youth are getting into the labor market and competing only for 3 million jobs. And in the 17 years to come, 350 million youth will be getting into the labor market. What has been christened a ticking time bomb. This reality is confronting the African continent as sobering. And this means that in the context of the implementation of the Paris Agreement, this cannot be done in silos. This cannot be a silo obligation to these sobering challenges that I've enumerated. So the prevailing question, honorable ministers, to be asked is, how can this implementation of the NDCs be done in such a way that they unleash opportunities and address these socio-economic challenges that the continent is actually facing today? And the answer lies in targeting Africa's catalytic sectors, sectors that can be able to address not just climate obligation, but at the same time contribute to macroeconomic growth, contribute to addressing unemployment, contribute to ensuring that food insecurity can actually be realized. So environmental actions as a solution to this socio-economic development becomes important. And to the question of what the UN environment is doing, it is premised around this area. And taking this into consideration, the UN environment implementing the national determined contributions, starting from planning and implementation, involves a multi-stakeholder process. And it involves this stakeholder process as enshrined in Section 5 of the Paris Agreement, which calls for state and non-state actors to be brought together and engaging everyone by building on their strengths and leveraging on their technical expertise, their talent, ensuring that the private sector, civil societies, NGOs, international development organizations, policymakers, and even individual citizens are actually part of this. And the UN environment is doing this in 4 aspects. First of all, bridging science policy gaps by helping countries come up with tools that can help inform investments, so countries can be able to invest in sectors that can be able to address not only helping about carbon emissions, but at the same time also socio-economic challenges. For example, in coming up with these decision-making tools, the UN environment is working across the continent, and if you take Mozambique, for example, whereby they focus on 2 NDCs areas, irrigation and agroforestry, the models are helping to help the country understand how much investment will be needed and what will be the emissions that will be reduced, as well as food security concerns and also incomes that can be generated out of this. When it comes to policy action, work is being done across the continent. If you take Cameroon, for example, integrating off-grid small hydro directly to power sustainable ecosystems, best adaptation, not only to address food security issues, but at the same time also reduce food inefficiencies in the agro sector, is helping 500 women add value to cassava and connect them to market utilizing information communication technology. When it comes to the critical factors that are actually supposed to ensure that NDCs can be implemented in the continent, the first one is to ensure that what has been enshrined in the African Union Agenda 2063 and also in the African Ministerial Conference of Environment Decisions, the catalytic sectors should be the areas to be focused on, because these are sectors that are capable of creating socio-economic opportunities for the majority in the African continent. And the second most important is to ensure that innovative approaches that move beyond environment and incentivize market-driven partnerships across other sectors, whether it is energy, whether it is finance, should be quite very, very vital, because this is the only way we can bridge policy and operational gaps. The third is to leverage on African sovereign wealth, which is its youth. Currently at 200 million today, these youth are the primary resource of transformational climate change, and if we do so, we will truly ensure that no one is left behind. Thank you.